Orion jerked back instinctively as footsteps echoed beyond the library doors. Not loud, measured, unhurried. Only one person in the palace walked like that. He schooled his face before the doors opened, forcing the storm inside him down into something as calm as possible. Alpha or not, Thalassar had always been able to read him too easily, and Orion refused to give him anything tonight. "Father," Orion said evenly as Thalassar entered, his cloak brushing the stone floor. "You sent for me. Why?" Thalassar didn't answer right away. His gaze slid past Orion, to the long table, to the massive tome resting there, open, recently touched. "Were you reading?" Thalassar asked instead. Orion didn't bother lying. Lies in this place had a way of rotting before they left the mouth. "The book was already open," he said. "I turned a few pages, that's all." A slow smile curved Thalassar's lips. Not mocking, not kind, knowing. He hummed. "That's how it always starts." Orion stiffened. "Starts what?" "Curiosity," Thalassar replied, stepping closer. "Recognition, confusion." He reached the table and rested a hand on the book, fingers splayed as if greeting an old companion. "I was reading it earlier." Orion's eyes flicked to the cover. "Greek mythology?" he asked casually, though his pulse had yet to slow. "Complex, dramatic, entertaining, I suppose." Thalassar chuckled softly. "Fun, too, if you enjoy tragedy dressed as legend." Orion leaned back against a shelf, crossing his arms. "I noticed Zeus was in there," he said, deliberately light. "Hera, Apollo, Aphrodite, even Hippolytus." A pause. "But I didn't see Poseidon." Something shifted, just barely. Thalassar exhaled, long and heavy, like a tide retreating. "He's there," he said. Don't linger on him." Orion frowned. Why? He was one of the most powerful sea gods. Thalassar looked at him then, really looked, not as a king, not as an alpha, as a father. "Oh," he said quietly, "I wasn't thinking of him as a god." Orion's breath caught. "I was thinking of him as a father," Thalassar continued, voice low, layered with something dangerously close to regret. "And fathers," he added, "are rarely heroes in their children's stories." Silence settled between them, thick and ancient. Somewhere in the palace, the walls seemed to listen. Thalassar reached for the book again, then paused, almost as if reconsidering, before lifting it from the table and holding it out to Orion. "Keep it," he said. Orion frowned. "I don't need—" "Consider it a gift," Thalassar interrupted lightly. "I rarely give you any." That stopped him. Orion hesitated, the instinct to refuse curling sharp and familiar in his chest. Gifts from Thalassar were never simple. They came with expectations, consequences, or histories too heavy to carry without cost. But this time, Thalassar's hand didn't waver. There was no command in his voice, no edge of authority, just an offering. Slowly, Orion took the book. Its weight settled into his palms. Old, solid, deliberate. For once, he didn't argue. He simply nodded, tucking it under his arm as if accepting something long overdue. Thalassar watched him with an unreadable expression, then turned away, clasping his hands behind his back. "There will be a gathering next week," he said. "At your place, at Orion Villa." Orion stiffened. "A council?" "No," Thalassar replied. "A celebration." That made Orion look up. "The Moon Festival," Thalassar continued, his tone casual, though the words themselves were anything but. "It coincides with your birthday this year." Orion exhaled slowly. Among werewolves, the Moon Festival was sacred, a night when the boundary between instinct and restraint thinned, when packs honored the lunar bond that governed their blood. An alpha born under the full moon was already rare. An alpha whose birth aligned with the Moon Festival itself was considered marked, chosen by fate, or cursed by it. Old packs believed such alphas didn't simply lead, They disrupted. They became turning points in history. And you're hosting it, Orion said flatly. Yes, Thalassar replied, and this time humans will be invited. The word struck like a blow. Humans? Orion repeated. You've never allowed— I'm aware, Thalassar said calmly. That's why this matters. Orion's jaw tightened. You're inviting exposure. You're blurring lines that were drawn for a reason. I'm inviting inevitability, Thalassar corrected. The world has changed. Pretending otherwise is arrogance. Orion studied him. Why now? Thalassar didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the window overlooking the lake, its surface unnaturally still. There's a woman, he said at last, Lily Moreau. The name hit Orion strangely, not like recognition, but like an echo with no source. It slid through his mind and vanished, leaving behind an unsettled feeling he couldn't place. She runs a digital magazine, Thalassar went on, focused on childbirth, childcare, maternal advocacy, thoughtful work, necessary work. And this concerns me because, Orion asked. I support her, Thalassar said, through Thalassar Global Initiatives, quietly. Orion turned sharply. You're funding her? Yes. Orion scoffed, disbelief flickering through him. You've had countless lovers, dates, long-term arrangements, short-term indulgences. His voice hardened. You even pursued my mother. And now, at this age, you're chasing another woman. Thalassar laughed, not a restrained chuckle, a full, unguarded laugh that echoed through the library. Oh, you wound me, he said dryly. At this age? Orion didn't smile. I'm serious. I know, Thalassar replied, still amused, and that's what makes it entertaining. Entertaining, Orion echoed. You'll see, Thalassar said simply. Something about his tone unsettled Orion more than the words themselves. He opened his mouth to press further, to demand answers, to draw lines, but Thalassar was already turning away. We'll talk more at dinner, he said over his shoulder. For now I have business with Dion. The doors opened, then closed. Orion stood alone in the vast library, the book heavy against his side, the moon festival looming closer with every breath. Humans invited, a woman funded in secret, a birthday bound to the moon itself, and a father who clearly knew more than he was willing to say. Orion stared down at the book in his hands. Whatever was coming, it wasn't just a celebration, it was a reckoning.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं फिल्मोरा है ना।